What is up, guys? I hope you guys are doing well today. I am starting a two-part series on the College World Series, so a preview of each of the 8 teams in the field, starting with bracket 1 tonight, and then bracket 2, hopefully sometime in the near future. So, hope you guys enjoy, and we will dive right into it here with our first team. So today, starting with bracket 1, that will be West Virginia, Troy, UNC, and Ole Miss. So, uh, going back to my last week's super regional picks, I think I went 6 out of 8 in the series. I messed up on Little Rock. I picked Little Rock over Troy, which did not happen. And then um, the other one was Kansas. I picked Kansas over Oklahoma, but 6 out of 8, honestly, I think if you told me I'd gone 6 out of 8, or I would go 6 out of 8, I think I'd be very happy with that. Especially considering I got the Ole Miss pick right. Very, very excited about that. So, bracket 1 today, bracket 2 sometime in the near future, definitely sometime before the Saturday games start, which is when those games start. So, once again, West Virginia, Troy, Ole Miss, UNC today. So starting off, number 16, West Virginia. West Virginia, as I mentioned earlier, second place in the Big 12 this season, second place in the regular season behind Kansas, and they also lost the conference tournament championship game to the same team, to the Jayhawks. They went 4-1 in their regional, losing to Kentucky the first time around, but then beating them twice in a row to get to not only a super regional but their own super regional where they would host Cal Poly. And let's just say they didn't have much problem with that. They won 12-2 and 17-1 in back-to-back games in back-to-back days. Um, Obviously 12 and 17, very scorching offense that the Mountaineers have this time of year, right at the best time of the year to have such a great offense. The pitching has always been there for this West Virginia team. They've got guys like Max Yale, Chanson Cole, Ian Korn out of the bullpen. All three of those guys, by the way, earning Big 12 first team honors, which is the first time that that has happened in the Big 12 in over a decade, that a trio of teammate pitchers in the Big 12 conference have won first team honors in the Big 12. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff there. Once again, that's Max Yale, Chanson Cole, and Ian Korn. So those guys have been there. They've been, performing to an excellent level, to an excellent standard all year. The bats have been a little up and down for the Mountaineers, but they are certainly peaking at a correct and at a great time for West Virginia, scoring 12 and then 17 against a strong Cal Poly team who made it out of a very strong Los Angeles regional, who obviously included the number 1 overall seed, that would be UCLA. Although they didn't actually play UCLA, they played Virginia Tech and then St. Mary's twice, who was the 4 seed. But that's besides the point. Still, very impressive stuff last weekend from West Virginia. Definitely glad I picked them because it wouldn't have been a good look if I had not picked the Mountaineers last weekend. So they've got guys, Armani Guzman starting at the top of this lineup. Not a power guy. In fact, he didn't hit any homers until I believe game 2 of the Super Regional last weekend against Cal Poly. That was his first homer this season, but he's certainly a guy who knows how to get on base with a 312 batting average, 20 doubles, and 38 stolen bases for West Virginia. Gavin Kelly is the 2 hitter. He was, by the way, the Morgantown Regional most outstanding player. So not for last weekend, but for 2 weekends ago, he won the most outstanding player in that field of four teams. 384 batting average, 17 homers, and 57 RBIs for Kelly this season, as well as more walks than strikeouts, which sounds like an impressive stat, and it certainly is, but there are actually a surprising number of guys who have those statistics. Paul Schoenfeld, 342 batting average, 50 RBIs, 19 doubles, 24 stolen bases. Sean Smith, the Georgia Southern transfer with 9 homers, 53 RBIs. So they've got bats who are certainly peaking at the right time here. Even the bottom of the lineup. The bottom of the lineup was excellent, especially last weekend. Tyrus Hall with a huge grand slam, I believe in the fourth inning of Game 1 against Cal Poly to break the game open. And then insurance runs were added later. Ben Lumsden was nice last weekend as well. Nice. He was good last weekend. I don't know why I used the term nice. Anyways, the bats are certainly peaking at the right time. The pitching's always been there. So I'm going to give you guys two kind of keys to success, as I like to call them, or keys to performing well or up to the team's standard, at least, in Omaha for each team in this series. For West Virginia, I'm going with dominant ace performances. So obviously, guys like Max Yale and Chanson Cole, who I already mentioned, first team honors in the Big 12. Just, looking for 6 or 7 solid innings out of those guys. And then aggressive offense, both, at the plate and base running as well. They benefit very much from a small ball kind of play. So moving runners over, being aggressive on the base paths. That's the kind of style you're looking for this West Virginia team and the kind of style that suits them the best as a team overall. So, yeah, I'll get into overall predictions of where I see everybody finishing in the tournament. Their opponent in round one, by the way, first overall um, College World Series appearance ever for West Virginia. Their opponent, you can actually say the same about the Troy Trojans. The first team ever, I found this out, the first team ever with 30 losses in their season to reach Omaha. 30 losses, 38 wins on the season. So they do have a winning record. Um, Under the fifth season for head coach Skylar Meade. Um, Troy lost their first game of the postseason against the Canes, but then did not lose again. Beat Miami, came back, beat the Canes, and then beat Florida in 2 games back to back on the Gators' home turf or grass, whatever you want to call it, and then swept their own regional against Little Rock, which was absolutely insane. It was a show, to be honest. There were bleachers being brought in from across the country just so they could fill their capacity limits. It was amazing. So great scenes there at Troy University, and ultimately one of the one of the top sporting moments in that university's history. I think it has to be. I don't think their football or basketball or whatever other programs they have truly reached that level of national prominence. Um, Troy's got, a kind of even production rate, if you will, throughout the lineup top to bottom. Their four-hitter, Jimmy Janicki, who I think I mentioned this in the last video, but he's from nearby Downers Grove North High School. From Downers Grove, obviously. So, but he was not only from Downers Grove North, he was the Sun Belt Player of the Year for the Trojans this year, hitting to the tune of a 341 batting average, 19 homers, 85 RBIs, 24 doubles. The list goes on and on. Get into more complex statistics if you want to, but those are just some simple ones for now for Janicki. So he was extremely impressive throughout the course of the season. The regional MVP in Gainesville, or most outstanding player as it's called, was not Janicki, but it was Jabe Boroff. If you've watched a bit of Troy baseball in this postseason, you'll know who I'm talking about. My baseball reference sources say he only's played 34 games in this or not in this postseason. There aren't 34 games in the postseason. In this season, period. 264 batting average, 11 homers, 32 RBIs. 11 homers in 34 games. That's kind of a lot. Turns out he's hit 6 homers in this postseason for the Trojans, including, I believe, 2 games where he's hit multiple homers for Troy. By the way, they've only played 7 games in this postseason, so 6 homers in 7 postseason games. Extremely impressive. He's the 8 batter, by the way, in the lineup. I think he's the DH. But they've got several key producers top to bottom in this lineup. Blake Cavill, the Sydney, Australia resident, 279 batting average, 13 homers, 50 RBIs for Cavill this season from the 3 spot. Leading off for Troy is Aaron Piasecki. Piasecki, I don't totally know if I'm pronouncing that right, but 346 batting average, as well as 10 homers, 48 RBIs, and also, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, more walks than strikeouts. They've also got some key transfers here in this lineup, such as Josh Pine. He was a 4-year stayer at Indiana University in Bloomington. He's got 10 homers, 37 RBIs for the Trojans this year. Stephen Meyer, he was a in-conference transfer, if you will, from Old Dominion. He's got a 321 batting average, 9 homers, 44 RBIs. And Drew Nelson as well, 307 batting average, 6 homers, and 49 RBIs. He was an Auburn transfer for 2 years. I believe he also pitches as well. I didn't get his pitching statistics down on here. Speaking of pitching, they've got some key guys in the pitching rotation. These are just 3 of them. There are certainly more than that who have contributed to Troy's defensive success. Benjamin Stubbs, 91.1 innings pitched. He's got a 6-3 record, 4.93 ERA, and 83 strikeouts. Tommy Egan in 87 innings pitched, a 6-5 record, 5.38 ERA, 99 strikeouts, 1 complete game, and 1 save as well. And then Zach Crotchfelt in 61.2 innings pitched, 7-2 record, 3.5 ERA, and 74 strikeouts. So some of those ERA numbers, especially from the top 2 who are both starters, Stubbs and Egan, a bit high, and that leads me to one of my keys to success for the Trojans in this stay here in Omaha, however long it may be, is got to have that lockdown bullpen. The starters haven't been the best statistically. It's not the best starting rotation by any stretch of the imagination here in Omaha or here in this bracket of 4 teams. So they're going to need a lockdown bullpen to get them out of some situations in the late innings, as well as consistent offensive production that I mentioned earlier from top to bottom of the lineup. So that's it for the first matchup. Now for the second, we have UNC and Ole Miss. That's going to be the night game tomorrow on Friday. That is weird to say. The College World Series starts tomorrow. Scott Forbes here is in his 6th season. Statistic about UNC: in the past 3 years, there have been 23 different schools represented in Omaha in the College World Series. And if you think about it, there are 8 teams in every College World Series. Multiply that by 3 for 3 years. That's 24. So 23 different schools have been represented by 24, or out of, I should say, the 24 different spots in the tournament these past 3 years. The only repeat appearance, if you will, in this College World Series tournament, they appeared in 2024 and then 2026. So the only team who's made it twice in the last 3 years would be these North Carolina Tar Heels. So that has to mean something about how they have, um, you know, played to their standard and played at a high level here in these past few years. That was, I don't know what I was going to say there, but anyways, swept through their Chapel Hill Regional. In the Super Regional, they were actually the only team here in this field of Omaha teams to lose a game. There was only one game three, which is crazy. Usually there are at least like half of the matchups, so about 4 or 5 game threes. There was only one, and it was UNC versus USC. They meaning UNC, lost the first game 9-5. Their backs were against the wall, but they come up with two huge pitching uh, performances overall, but especially pitching performances. And the first one on day two in game two was Jason DeCaro throwing a complete game shutout in game two of the postseason with their backs against the wall. 9 innings, no earned runs, no runs, period. 2 hits and 8 strikeouts. That is unbelievable for a clutch performance from Jason DeCaro. We'll get into his full season statistics a little bit, or here in a little bit. And UNC got the offensive sparks that they needed throughout the day. They won 4-0, and then in game three, they were down 3-1 entering the bottom of the eighth, but they score 1 in the eighth and 2 in the ninth. It was Owen Hull who had the walk-off double in that game for the Tar Heels, and they moved on here to this stage of the postseason. I believe that was his third or fourth double of the game. He was seeing it well that game, that's for sure. So UNC, as I said, the only team to win 2-1 instead of 2-0 in the Super Regional round. They've got bats through and through this lineup, but unfortunately they weren't at their best this past weekend. They didn't score more than 5 runs. They scored 5 in the loss, actually. That was the most they scored. And then 4 in both games 2 and 3, which they won, both of those. Jake Schaffner batting leadoff, a .358 batting average, 6 homers, 46 RBIs, 25 stolen bases for the NDSU, that's North Dakota State transfer, for 2 years. I am literally actively reading my notes here, guys, so if I'm stumbling a little bit, I apologize for that, but I've obviously not rehearsed this or anything, so this is just unedited, giving the information to you guys here. So with that being said, Gavin Gallagher also got some veteran experience, guys who have stayed with the program. Gallagher, certainly one of those guys. .285 batting average, which is a bit down from last year, but I think his power numbers, such as 12 homers and 54 RBIs, are up from last year. But with that being said, this team, the core of this team, not only Schaffner, but Owen Hall, Macon Winslow, Eric Paulson, who was the Chapel Hill Regional Most Outstanding Player, and Colin Hynek, all 5 of those guys transferred in from schools such as North Dakota State, as I said, George Mason, Duke, which, kind of an off tangent here, but I don't understand I could not bring myself, if I was a Duke baseball player, I could not bring myself to transfer to UNC Chapel Hill. That just doesn't seem right. Maybe the baseball rivalry isn't as intense for all I know. I'm not totally sure, but given what I know about the basketball rivalry that they have there, which is brutal if you are not aware, um, I don't think I could bring myself to transfer from Duke to UNC or vice versa. But Macon Winslow, knock yourself out. He's the four batter, by the way, so no hate to him. 293 batting average, 10 homers, 57 RBIs. So he has produced. There is a reason he's here with the Tar Heels. Eric Paulson, as I said, he was the regional most outstanding player in Chapel Hill. By the way, I did look up, they do not give out super regional most outstanding players. I was looking for that and then came across it a couple times that they did not give such awards out. But he's a Stony Brook transfer, 296 batting average, 11 homers, 54 RBIs. Owen Hall came over from George Mason out of the Atlantic 10. Um, 390 batting average, 7 homers, 81 RBIs, and 24 doubles on the season for Hall. So they've got some guys who can hit here. Unfortunately, as I said, show up didn't show up in full force, I guess I should say, in the super regional, especially with runners in scoring position. They were a miserable number. I don't exactly know the statistic, but I think at one point they were somewhere close to 1 for 20 or something like that with runners in scoring position in the super regional against USC. So that is one key to success that I have coming up here. But their um, pitchers definitely stepped up. Jason DeCaro, as I said, also, by the way, he received some All American honors or mentions, one of the two from Perfect Game Baseball. 11-2 record, 2.28 ERA, 84 strikeouts, and 2 complete game shutouts, one of which, as I mentioned, was in that game against USC in game 2. Caden Glauber is another guy, 81.2 innings of work, a 10-0 record, 2.2 ERA, 99 strikeouts, and 4 saves. So a guy who's more likely coming out of the bullpen for the Tar Heels. And then Ryan Lynch, who's usually, your game one starter, got the Tar Heels out of some jams in that first game against USC, which unfortunately they did lose, but he was pretty solid in that effort. 5-4 record, 4.22 ERA, 82 strikeouts. So he's a guy who I would probably expect to be out on the mound tomorrow against Ole Miss. He's usually your day one starter for the Tar Heels. So I've kind of already alluded to my two keys here for UNC, but I have number one, relying on the elite pitching depth that you have here with DeCaro and Lynch starting, and other guys certainly as well, and then Caden Glauber and other guys in the bullpen, and then capitalizing with runners in scoring position. That was very nearly their downfall this past weekend, and something that could have kept them from the College World Series, but their standard is going to have to be raised in Omaha. Such mishaps and mistakes with runners in scoring position and missed opportunities, I guess I should say, are not going to slide in the greatest show on dirt. Moving right along, our final team here, we're rolling right through it with a blazing speed here. 3 teams down, we're about 25 minutes in, so that's great. Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the only SEC team on this side of the bracket. The reason why that is, I guess, of such substance is because if you come back for my next video here, hopefully sometime soon, all 4 teams on the other side of the bracket hail from the Southeastern Conference. So they're the lone representatives here on the SEC on the left side. They're also the only team who is undefeated in this postseason on the left side of the bracket so far. All of the three previous teams that I mentioned have one flaw in the NCAA tournament so far, not the Rebels. So Ole Miss went 15-15 in SEC play, which was good enough for tied for ninth in the conference. They were the 9 seed in the SEC tournament, and they lost the first game to the 16 seed, the lowest seed in the SEC. That would be Missouri, or Mizzou as they're more affectionately referred to. So they came back, swept the Lincoln Regional. I did look at this, by the way. Ole Miss obviously won the Lincoln Regional, but the regional most outstanding player was not awarded to an Ole Miss player. It went to an Arizona State player. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It was not Landon Hairston, who's one of the Golden Spikes finalists, so that's huge for him. It was not him, though. It was another guy for the Sun Devils. So they swept through that, including 2 extra inning victories, both over that Arizona State team. And then, as I said, they swept through the Auburn Super Regional 6-4 and 5-3 over the Auburn Tigers. Looking through this lineup here, interesting tidbit, my goodness, of information. Dom Decker, their leadoff batter, I believe he's the second baseman. I could be wrong though. He is a Murray State transfer. Now, Murray State, some of you may remember, had an enthralling run all the way to Omaha last year. They got through the Oxford Regional and then the Duke Super Regional. Decker and the Racers, the Murray State Racers, got through the Oxford Regional. They knocked off Ole Miss in their final game to get through to the Super Regional, and now Decker has come back, transferred with whatever years of eligibility he has left, I'm not sure. He transferred to Ole Miss, so he went from the team who knocked him out in, or no, sorry, who he and his teammates knocked out in the regional round last year. He transferred to that team. He transferred to Ole Miss. So that was an interesting piece of information that I found. Not sure what you want to do with that, but take that as you will. So he has 272 batting average, 10 homers, 33 RBIs on the season for the Rebels. There are some true blue blood, or I get true blood. I don't know. There are some power hitters in this lineup. That's what I was going for. Judd Utermark, when you mention power hitter, you cannot miss his name in college baseball. He is the all-time program leader in the home run category for Ole Miss Rebel baseball. He's had 22 homers each of the last 2 seasons. Also has a 312 batting average, so he's not some, Joey Gallo. He gets on base as well, even despite obviously the monstrous power that he has. He actually wasn't the home run leader on the team. That would be Clemson transfer Tristan Bissetta, who had 23 homers, just beat him out by 1 with a 277 batting average, 61 RBIs as well for Bissetta. Tristan spent 3 years with the Clemson Tigers before coming over here. You got guys like Will Furness in the middle part of the lineup, 311 batting average, 8 homers, 56 RBIs, a 4-year veteran. It's a good mix, this team of transfers. You got Dom Decker from Murray State, Tristan Bissetta from Clemson, Austin Foley, coming over, only after a year, but coming over from Kentucky. Colin Reuter, the DH at the bottom of the lineup, he's from BYU. You got guys like that, but you also have guys like Judd Utermark, like Will Furnace, like Braden Randall, who are 3-4 year veterans for Ole Miss. So it's a good mix of experience with the program and experience elsewhere that I think will serve them very well in this postseason. And speaking of experience, look no further than their head coach, Mike Bianco, who's in their, his, 26th season leading this Rebel baseball program. That is impressive, especially in this day and age where guys are moving in and out of everywhere. Players, coaches, uh, athletic directors, you name it, whatever roles there are, guys are moving in and out from one program to the next. So very impressive for Bianco. And he not only has experience, he has championship winning experience. He's the 2022 national championship with a win over Oklahoma, who they could see in the finals. I don't know if I'd bet on it, but it is a possibility, and anything can happen in Omaha. Some pitchers to note here: Taylor Rabe, a 6-3 record, 5-3 record, 3.71 ERA, 98 Ks, 2 saves. Walker Hooks also coming out of the bullpen, 55.2 innings of work, 3-1 record, 2.43 ERA, 61 strikeouts, 9 saves. And then Hunter Elliott, more of a starter guy, 80.1 innings pitched, 5-3 record, 5.15 ERA, and 102 Ks for the Rebels. My two keys here for the Rebels, and then we'll get quickly here to who I see coming out of this side of the bracket and entering the World Series Finals, and then that will be it, and I will send you guys on your way. Number one, cutting down on strikeouts, offensively, that is, obviously. Defensively, get all the strikeouts you want, but they are a high power team, but with that can often come a high swing and miss rate as well. So cutting down on the offensive strikeouts, and then just, using that tournament poise that they have. This is an experienced team. They have a lot of experience both here and at other places, at BYU, at Murray State, who was here a year ago in Dom Decker's case, at Clemson. And Mike Bianco, look no further than him. He's in his 26th year coaching. He's won a College World Series. So using that tournament poise, as we call it here, to their advantage will be key. That is it. Now it is time for my prediction. Who do I see coming out of this side of the bracket? UNC is the highest seeded team. West Virginia riding that hot offense and that stud pitching staff all the way to Omaha for the first time. Troy on a miracle joyride all the way to Omaha, getting through Little Rock last weekend, and Ole Miss, the sole undefeated team left on this side of the bracket, getting through number 4 Auburn last weekend. Give me Mike Bianco, give me Judd Utermark, give me Hunter Elliott, give me all those guys, and give me the Ole Miss Rebels. I am no SEC homer, but I've got the Rebels getting it done this weekend. I think, as I've mentioned before, they've got that perfect mix of transfer experience and also Ole Miss experience. You've got guys who have stayed with the program, and you've got guys who have come from other places but have experience and winning experience at that. I think if you can, as I said, cut down on the strikeouts offensively and use that tournament poise to your advantage, you're looking at an all SEC final, which would be caused by Ole Miss reaching the finals, and then whoever makes it on the other side of the bracket, we know will be an SEC team. So there you have it, Ole Miss to the finals. I've been high on this team. I was high on them last weekend at Auburn. I'm going to ride with the Rebs now. So that is all for today. I will see you guys in the next one, which will be part 2 of my College World Series prediction series. So until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.